Welcome to Simplifying Expressions in Order of Operations. So, first we're going to go through all of the simplifying expressions, then we'll talk about the order of operations in the second part of the video. I think I'm going to cut this in two videos. But what we're going to be working on with the simplifying expression is combining like terms and the property of distribution that we learned about in 1.7. Now, notice in these first two examples, see how there's a negative in front of the parentheses? That really acts like a negative 1. So we could really write this first kind of example here as negative 1 times 4 plus x. So distribution, we're going to multiply the negative 1 times the 4 and multiply the negative 1 times the x. Because a lot of the times in math we want to get rid of the parentheses to combine like terms, and that's going to help us solve problems. So here if we distribute the negative 1 to the 4, negative 1 times positive 4 is negative 4. We distribute the negative 1 to the x, negative 1 times positive x is negative x, and that is the simplified non-parenthesed version of what we saw over here. Now we look at the same thing on the second one. Is there a negative in front of these parentheses here? Answer being yes, that acts like a negative 1. So because that acts like a negative 1 right here, we distribute it in. Negative 1 times our 2x, because negative times positive negative, that gives us our negative 2x. Similarly, negative 1 times negative 6, negative times negative is a positive, that gives us our plus 6, and then we're good. Now, a lot of the times we're going to have some examples, and there's going to be some practice. Now, I'm not specifically going to take a pause in the video for you to do these practice problems, but this would be a great time to pause the video, practice to see if you're getting the concept right, and then check it with the work I'm going to do. So, once again, looking at this practice problem, number 1, is there a negative in front of the parentheses? Sure there is, so it acts like a negative 1. Negative 1 times a positive 2a is a negative 2a. Negative 1 times a negative 5 is a positive 5, so we have plus 5. So negative 2a plus 5 is exactly what we're looking for in simplifying that expression. Same thing in number 2. Do you see a negative in front of these said parentheses? Well, yes. So we want to get rid of the parentheses, and this acts like a negative 1, so we're going to distribute. Negative 1 times negative 5x, negative times negative is a positive, so that's a positive 5x. Negative 1 times a positive 4y, negative times positive negative, so negative 4y. And then finally, negative 1 times positive 2, that's going to give us negative 2. And that is the simplified version of that right here. So we got a couple of examples right here. Kind of cruise through these and see where we're at. So I'll walk you through the examples, and then we'll do the practice together. And once again, do feel free to pause these videos and practice on your own to see if you're getting the same answer as I am after I show you how to do it. I think that's the most beneficial way to work through this class. Now, in the first example here, is there a negative in front of the parentheses? No. So we don't distribute a negative 1, but because it's positive, it's like multiplying by positive 1, which is that multiplicative identity. So, just writing over to the side, the 2x's... Okay, so I'm going to pick this example up over there. Sorry about the phone. It's, whatever people keep calling me. So, because there's a positive in front of the 3x minus 4 that's in parentheses, we distribute a negative 1. The 2 that we have out here, that 2x, we carry that over. So we have our 2x still. Now, positive 1 times 3x is plus 3x. Positive 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. So now it's just a matter of combining like terms. 2x plus 3x, well, 2 plus 3 is 5. So we have 5x minus 4, and that's what we're looking at there. Now the second one here, notice, do we have a negative in front of the parentheses? Answer yes, so we need to distribute that in. Our 3x carries over, and we have that 3x. The negative distributes into the x, giving us a negative x, as we see right here. The negative carries over that 9, giving us a negative 9 right here. 3x minus x, because that's a negative 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. That gives us our 2x minus 9. So now I'm just going to move right into the practice and kind of get through these. Now, is there a negative in front of the parentheses here? Clearly the answer is yes, so we're going to have to distribute that in. But this 8x that tags along in front needs to carry through as well, so we just bring the 8x over. Because that's our negative 1, Negative 1 times a positive 2x is a negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. Combining like terms, 8x minus 2x, well 8 minus 2 is 6, so we have 6x plus 1, and that is the answer that we're looking for here. 4. Is there a negative in front of the parentheses? Yes. So our 4m plus 3 is going to carry over. 4m plus 3. This negative is a negative 1, so I write that in. Multiply through. Negative times a positive is negative, so we have minus m. Negative times a negative is a positive, plus 3. And 4m plus 3 minus m plus 3. We combine our like terms, our m's. 4m minus m. It's going to give us 3m. 3 plus 3, that's 6. So we have plus 6. And that is what we're looking at right there. Okay. So, 5. Is there a negative in front of the parentheses? Yes. Yes, there is. We still have our 2a minus 8b. That's going to carry over. That's not in parentheses. We just recopy that. So we are 2a minus 8b. The negative acts as a negative 1, so negative 1 times a positive a is negative a. Negative 1 times positive 8 is a negative 8b carries along here. And then we combine our like terms. 2a minus a, well, if you had 2 a's and someone took one from you, you would be left with 1a, or just a. And then negative 8b minus 8b. Negative 8 minus another 8 is negative 16. And we have our b right there. And that's what we're looking at. So, next one right here. 2 sets of parentheses. Now, question, is there a negative in front of the first set? Answer, no. So that's really like a positive 1. So we distribute the positive through. Well, 1 times anything is itself. So we're just really recopying this first set of parentheses. 1 times negative 3w, negative 3w. 1 times negative 1, negative 1. Although there is the negative here, so we're going to have to distribute that through. Negative times a positive 2w, negative 2w. Negative times a positive 5, negative 5. Now, combine these up. Negative 3w minus 2w gives us a grand total of negative 5w. And negative 1 minus 5 gives us negative 6. That's the answer we're looking for. So we got one more of these, and I'll cut it, and we'll pick it back up with order of operations. Now, same thing with 7. Is there a negative in front of the first set of parentheses? No, there's nothing, so it acts like a positive, so we distribute the negative 1. And when we multiply by 1, that multiplicative identity, we don't change anything. So we have a y minus 8. Before the second set of parentheses, not only do we have a negative, we have a negative 3. So we need to multiply this negative 3 by the first term here. We need to multiply the negative 3 by the second term. So negative 3 times our 2y is negative 6y. Negative 3 times our 4 is negative 12. Combine these up. Y minus 6y is negative 5y. Because the 1 minus 6 gives us negative 5, negative 12, and negative 8. When we combine those, so negative 8 minus another negative 12 gives us negative 20. And that is that. So I'll see you back here for order of operations in part 2 of the video for 1.8.